Hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are back with Star Trek Adventures Aegis. We are starting our next episode, Let Your Woes Become Your Deadliest Weapons. For this ninth episode, or adventure, however you would prefer to frame it, we are joined by most of our crew today. Panda playing Colonel Lillian Sharpe, Drone playing Lieutenant Commander Kieran Patel, Craig here as Lieutenant Eula Shira, our ship's tactical officer. We have back, at least for one weekend, Brian as Lieutenant Commander Aleska Romanov, and of course Felix back as our sort of specialist and guide, uh, general rogue element here, Saral.
Yes, generals were all.
Yes. Last but certainly not least. In any case, before we get going, I just wanted to run just a couple small shoutouts. First and foremost, one good friend of the channel, DocBGA, whom I would definitely say check out at some point. He broadcasts for those that are in Eastern or more, let's say, stateside friendly time zones. He broadcasts generally around 9 in the evening, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Thursdays are a special treat because he does tabletop-related things, either miniature painting or a D&D campaign that goes bi-weekly. The others are more variety streams, some single-player, some multiplayer games. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. For those in the archive, the info will be here in the description of the video. Likewise, another very good friend who has actually supplied all of my personal avatars, and Clockwork Crane. She's a dear friend, also big into tabletop, but mostly does some variety streaming, so just wanted to signal boost where I could. With that, let's go ahead and get things. Well, that's all the shouting out that I have to do here. I think that it's best to just give the setup to our current acting captain and regular science officer, Lieutenant Commander Patel. So please take it away there, Drone.
Sure. First Officer's Personal Star Log, August 6th, 2154. If you'd asked me a year ago what my life would be like this summer, I'd have given a comfortable and very boring answer. Preparing coursework for the upcoming semester, sharing afternoon coffee and cake with visiting professors from off-world, and finally starting that monograph on the emergence of El Nino climate patterns on the Vega colony. Then the call from Starfleet came. I would never have been able to foresee being swept up in the adventure of the past few days, much less getting caught up in a hunt that could set the tone for Earth's relations with its interstellar neighbors for years to come. The Aegis is currently repairing minor damages sustained after escaping some sort of Rigelian police action at a quote-unquote free port known as Uticon. The full details of the mission will be included in my full written report. Although the captain and one of our shuttle pilots are still underway, missing, either way, not present on the ship, I'm very glad to have the rest of the senior staff back on board. With Commander Romanov back, the Aegis will hopefully be able to handle the next challenge by tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking on our hunt for this Tellarite's missing chemosite, or at the very least, conclusive proof of who's responsible so that they can face justice. The current activities of the captain seem to be intertwined with this, but if there's a solid link here, I really cannot see it. I'm eagerly looking forward to debriefing the landing party. Before splitting up, Captain Sharpe apparently left a calling card in the form of an encoded frequency on her communicator, and with Commander Romanov's help, it seems like we'll be having a very awkward subspace call with the captain's wife, or at least I think it's one of her wives. I don't know. Romance isn't my. I don't know what to make of this. It's all very confusing. But I do hope that the captain's wife will be able to shed some light on Colonel Sharpe's actions that would help us to just figure out how best to proceed. Also, personal note, computer, did I mention just how glad I am to have the rest of the senior staff back on board? End personal log.
And it is from there that we pick up with the Aegis, which is presently, I think it would actually be more appropriate to say that with final repairs presently underway, or about to be accomplished, it'd make more sense to say that you are currently holding position or not yet at warp. So we'll transition here for something different for those in stream. And it's also worth noting that the shuttle in frame should have docked already. Saral, why are you out for a joyride?
Whee!
Oh, better activate his cloaking device.
Cloaking device? Only Romulans have cloaking devices.
I mean, he did introduce me as General Soral, so I think my cover is blown.
Quite right. Damn it! I've committed an own goal. I'm going to have to toss out all my notes for Saral's character there.
Not again.
We need to go to Plan Alpha 3. There we go.
Oh, not the changelings.
Damn it! All right, 47 Tango then.
Oh, the tribbles.
God damn it!
Soral is just 3 dozen tribbles in the trench coat.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to switch to a different backup plan, but this time I'm not going to tell you which one it is. That way I will maintain such operational security that
so the Romulan plan. All right.
I'm not even going to look at the page now. It is just everyone's own headcanon as to what is going on until it's said otherwise. We're just improving this now.
The real question is, how many lights do you see?
Damn it, Krell. Anyway.
Soral rips his mask off and it's just Krell again.
God damn it. Hello, sir. Those words coming out of the mouth of Ensign Crichton as the remaining senior staff and Soral, who was not in fact out joyriding just now. You are greeted by the last of the senior officers to join you that is present, Ensign Crichton, who, addressing you, Patel, Commander, or Captain, sorry, I'm always bad about what naming convention you prefer here. In any case, I will say that I have managed to establish the secure channel with Starfleet, and it's actually Starfleet intelligence, sir.
Oh, really? This, He looks around the table. Okay.
I'm just going to push the button and let them know we are ready for this call. I don't know if we're ready for this call.
Please do.
So, Crichton will engage that. There will be just a few minutes where it's sort of buffering and it switches from the regular display to a logo or insignia for Starfleet Intelligence. On the screen ahead of you appears the image of a human woman, I'd say comparable in age to the captain, maybe looking a little older, so definitely somewhere in the late 20s to early 30s range. She wears her dark hair relatively straight and has a similar sort of jumpsuit to what you wear, but it is mostly, whereas your primary tone is more of a bluish purple, hers is predominantly black with gold stripes, and there's no noticeable rank insignia paired with it either. It would be the crew of the Aegis, which would make you Lieutenant Commander Patel.
That's right, ma'am. You have me at something of a disadvantage, though, I think.
That was always going to be the case, dealing with spooks. We can drop some of the pretense. I am Athena Mitchell, Starfleet Intelligence. Based on the coded message I received, I presume that your captain, Colonel Sharpe, has been either abducted or is otherwise in the presence of the pirate known as Visenia.
That's my understanding, and Patel looks back to the landing party.
Wasn't an abduction. She's gone voluntarily to try and get more information.
Lieutenant, could you give me more of a firm breakdown on the matter, at least as best as you understand it?
Okay, Shira will talk her through the events on the station, what happened there, and up to the point where Sharpe split off with Justice.
You relay the events, basically, of the last episode. The gist of the last plot was recounted, and how, when faced with the possibility of splitting up, Colonel Sharpe took Chief Willie D. Justice and went off with the pirate Visenia aboard the Orion Corsair that she was operating. After you finish relaying that story, Mitchell, placing her hands together, her elbows leaned up against whatever table or console she's facing, takes a moment to think, and then taps a few buttons on a console near her. We always knew that this was going to be a possibility operating out here on the frontier, but I suppose I didn't expect it to happen so soon. I've been authorized to release some information to provide context for the current set of events here. These are need to know for the rest of your crew. If you find it necessary to read in anyone, then consider the most judicious use of that authority. Are we understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Very well. The nature of this operation goes back to 2150. Colonial authorities were starting to track unusual activities around some of our more distant colonial ports. Intelligence were showing signs that there was criminal activity coming from beyond traditional organized crime in Seoul or any of the local rackets that were starting to spring up. With a bit of assistance from the Vulcans, we had identified that the Orion Syndicate was the primary responsible party. While the Vulcans had pressed us to simply improve colonial security and try to minimize our footprint out in beyond Seoul, Command decided to take a more proactive approach. Very specifically, Mako, as this was before the unification protocols were started. Mako authorized a deep cover operation to infiltrate the syndicate. In the following year, a rapid response team from Mako had managed to put one of their own crew in as an agent. They posed as a Terran freebooter and were able to get aboard an Orion crew. This was a newly minted major at the time, who, with a few small shreds of intelligence and no shortage of bravado, managed to work their way in with that crew and actually managed a fair bit of depth with the syndicate. From what we understand, there's a bit of a diffuse structure, so they only infiltrated one segment of it, something that claimed to have some sort of relation to the royal bloodline of an older Orion state. Intelligence doesn't know much of what to make of that claim even to this day, but it was only enough to provide that operation within the syndicate essentially enough clearance to compete with the other segments. Before we could discover more, the operation seems to have gone sideways and our agent was forced to escape. She wound up taking a hostage, which, after the escape was successful, apparently Athena furrows her brow a little bit, looking as though she's still mildly puzzled by this, even so many years on. Apparently there's some sort of nuptial tradition among the Orion, and that is how Colonel Sharpe met the Orion that you know as Visenia. She had adopted the alias Eddie Darkstar Teach, and over the next couple years she had been operating an area from our frontier to the borderlands with Visenia. They caused a fair bit of chaos, mostly for the Syndicate and a few other organized criminal operations, but managing to disrupt some of the worst excesses. They also provided us some invaluable shreds of information on some of the different criminal elements further out. The operation might still have continued to this day, but was postponed after the Zindi attack. Mako and Starfleet had begun pulling assets back to Seoul. Sharpe was exfiltrated in a staged operation to make it appear as if she had been successfully captured and arrested by Starfleet, but really just as a cover to get her back to where she was on the Franklin so that we could prepare for any counter skirmishes with the Zindi. That is the most basic version of the story. I can answer some questions if you have them, but there are limits to what our files presently have on Visenia and her activities since Sharpe had left.
Patel leans back in his chair and just sort of says to himself more than anything, but it's audible. So the captain is a spy.
More the equivalent of a deep cover agent, or one planted operatives from law enforcement.
Wasn't there a word for this in the old times? I remember reading about it in a book, something like a groundhog or some other type of subterranean creature.
Oh, sir, I believe you're referring to a mole. We have those on Alpha Centauri, too.
Fascinating.
No.
So if the captain has resumed her previous mission, it seems, at least temporarily, with this Visenia, it has to have something to do with this missing chemocyte.
I would find that reasonably likely from what we've been analyzing from the last bit of telemetry that you sent us. It does appear that we can confirm the analysis that the second warp trail that was paired with the Tellarite freighter, the stolen one, the warp signature does match what information we have from at least one craft that Visenia has used in the past. Therefore, we consider it highly probable that she was the responsible party behind the raid against the Tellarites.
It goes without saying that we can't just leave the captain off to her own devices to solve this problem on her own. We should be following her. Oh, go ahead.
On that matter, speaking personally, and as an intelligence agent, I would agree. Command is still attempting to discern some type of policy on the matter or determine the best strategy to deal with the current circumstance. Indeed, most of this is presently cycling through intelligence such that the information is made it up to you. Personally, while I think that Sharpe may be positioned to get more information with regard to what you are having to deal with, I don't know how likely it is that with what resources you've told me she has available, I don't know that she's going to be able to effect any sort of change on her own. While there's no orders at this time, I would say that you are probably her best chance to at least provide some sort of assistance, some sort of cover, or if nothing else, at least maintain some level of contact, perhaps under the guise that you are pursuing the former Captain Teach, as it were.
Patel turns back to the awaiting or the landing party from the previous mission. Did the captain give you any indication that she was doing this willingly or according to plan, or should we consider her to be a captive of Visenia?
It was willing on her part. I didn't see Visenia forcing her to do anything. But plan? No, there's no plan. I think this is definitely improvised. We didn't know anything about this Visenia, and I'm sure the captain would have told us if she thought we were gonna meet her.
Then it sounds like the best course of action would be to effect pursuit of the dread pirate Teach, as it were, and use proximity to her to support in any way we can. Hopefully we can figure out a way to establish some sort of communication or otherwise assist under the guise of apprehending a criminal.
Athena will nod, still relatively static on the screen. Just to give everybody else a chance to chime in here, Saral, Romanov, if either of you have any questions that you would want to pitch or statements you'd want to add in, by all means. Likewise, Shira, if you have any questions on the matter, I'm sure that Patel is perfectly willing to invite his crew, much like a group of graduate students working on a problem with their professor. I'm sure
Oh,
that this is an open place for discourse like that.
definitely. This is a conference call. This isn't. Everybody's willing to chime in. Or
Well,
welcome to
Soral
chime in.
isn't entirely sure if he should be here or not, so he's just staying quiet. Yeah, this is for you and your senior staff only. It's like, okay.
Can you give us more details on Visenia? What she likely? How does she react to things? What's she like?
Well, as near as we can understand from the psychological workup that we've drawn and an understanding of the norms around Orion culture, Visenia falls into a much more, let's say this, given the the supposed ties to some sort of royal family within the Orions, Visenia could honestly be best characterized as going through a bit of a rebellious phase. Her family was quite traditionalist, and there might have been some limits that were placed on her. They might have even had things situated to create some sort of arranged matrimonial setup or otherwise. You know, we're a little uncertain exactly as to where the what her status would have been in the family, whether she would have simply been married off as a form of, as a means to establish some sort of alliance, or how much power she would have had otherwise. In any case, once she was freed and subsequently involved with Colonel Sharpe, Visenia appears to have taken to that lifestyle in fairly short order, and our best understanding of her is that as something of a roguish character, she's more likely to try certainly to evade circumstances as much as possible, and she's very competent in terms of uh, sort of wily tactics, being able to evade craft when possible or avoid detection or capture. Honestly, if too much pressure is put under her, I think that she would be more likely to give battle uh, than to offer surrender at this point.
What is the Orion Syndicate's perspective on her and her family's perspective? Are they supporting her endeavors or are they seeking her out to return to the family?
As near as we can tell, the family has in the past exercised some efforts against Colonel Sharpe and Visenia in order to try to bring the former back, rather bring the latter back into the fold and punish the former. However, they were able to thwart most of their attempts. So far as the broader syndicate is concerned, we aren't certain precisely where they stand, but the structure is so nebulous and diffuse with so many independent agents that it's impossible to say completely where they would be standing right now. As such, we're having some difficulty tracking exactly what syndicate activity has been going on at this point. Without Sharpe involved, we have very limited intelligence.
Are there any arrest warrants specifically out for Visenia, either in Earth space or with the Vulcans or the Tellarites or the Andorians?
Unfortunately, we are not presently in contact with the Tellarite government, so we cannot discern whether there is any sort of record there. Uh, I will attempt to put in a formal request to the Vulcans in order to discern that, but as far as we know, there haven't been any recent updates that specifically place any sort of blame with regard to Visenia. Uh, Likewise, we actually would need to put in a request with the Andorian government. Um, I suppose it would go a long way, Lieutenant, if you would be willing to perhaps address them on our behalf. She nods over to Lieutenant Shira.
I'll see what I can do, sir.
Yes. Which reminds me, when you are finished, or when we are finished here, I would like to speak with you for a moment.
Yes, sir.
But so far as any warrants as far as United Earth goes, Visenia never operated so close to uh, Terra as to get on our radar. Or any of the operations she conducted never affected an Earth colony, at least directly, or posed any sort of harm.
Well, and Patel folds his hands and sets them on the table and looks back at the team. Thoughts?
I have one other question about her. What is her resource level at this point, based on the last available intelligence, based on her resources that might allow us to predict her behavior?
Well, if your information is accurate from what you are telling me, then while it is too soon to assess, it is highly probable, I think, that she would have considerable monetary resources such that she should be able to if needs be, if she arrives in a port, be able to secure alternate vessels if she needs to leave the other one. It does sound like there was at least some portion of her crew, from what you described, that may have been caught back on the station. So whatever vessel she has may be undermanned at present, which, should it come down to intercepting and capturing the vessel, then you may have the advantage there. Beyond that, we know nothing else here. It is likely that she only has the one ship, given how few resources she committed to such a dangerous job, but it could just have easily been that she elected to only use a single ship against the Tellarites when she raided the Chemosite, because it would be harder for them to detect.
So what we have here is a young pirate from a noble family, well-to-do, in a rebellious phase, out enjoying a life of international or intergalactic crime, while her parents are in the background trying to catch up with her to arrange a marriage or whatever. This is me more out of character talking about it than in character.
Yeah, Visenia, to quote the old Earth meme, Visenia is living the best be gay, do crimes life right now.
Who can blame her?
Well,
Okay. Back in character, Patel says, I've been around college-aged people for quite a long time, and this pattern sounds somewhat familiar. I've had more than my fair share of students from rich parents who think that lets them coast by. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be worth something to no, never mind. He says,
Throw it out there. It could be. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm wondering if contacting her parents is a possibility. And we can approach this from more than one angle, because if it's just us, this random Earth ship out to try to apprehend Visenia, Shira, I don't know, were you able to do a tactical analysis of Visenia's ship? Do we stand a chance against them?
So an Orion Raider, they tend to be fast, nimble, better at ambushes than long sustained fights. I think we could take them.
Nevertheless, I think pooling our resources as best we can with some other interested parties might be helpful. The last thing we want is to show up and guns to start blazing and the captain gets killed in the crossfire.
I think you might be onto something there.
Perhaps we could get Visenia to sell out the captain and Justice. We're an Earth ship. Maybe we're after the Dread Pirate Darkstar Teach instead of Visenia. Make it worth a while to sell out Sharpe to us.
Although Visenia is sort of our key contact for or our key lead for this Visenia heist, this Chemosite heist. So we can't exactly let her off the hook.
As a one above-board reminder here in terms of your broader mission directives, the whole point of this chase has been to locate the culprit behind the theft of the Tellarate's Chemosite, and it is the agreement that you made with the Tellarate Admiral, Dega, essentially states that he wants the freighter with the Chemosite retrieved, or as much of it as possible, and absent that, he is seeking out a responsible party, someone that he can take back to Tellar Prime in order to give the authorities someone that they can hold accountable.
But the intention from him was to capture the person alive and not just blow her up, right?
The captain even made sure about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Then.
Yeah, we need to take Visenia.
But well, bearing that in mind, I would have less qualms with just contacting the Tellarites and saying we have a solid lead and would appreciate an assist.
So you want to invite the Tellarites in on this, then?
I mean, I don't know. That's the bare minimum, but we don't want to just do the bare minimum, I guess, right?
I mean, that's also a whole lot. For one thing, they have a whole lot of Chemosite. What are they using that for? A whole lot.
Out of character, are we at warp following the warp trail right now, or are we just like sitting here?
So at present, the Aegis had been, as relative time frame, it's been maybe a few, let's say about 4 or 5 hours since the Aegis had docked with the shuttle. Because your sensors are as good as they are, you could probably find that warp trail still. The vector you were on was not so far out of the way as to completely lose it, and with enough power put into the sensors, push it through the deflector, that sort of thing, you could probably get back to trailing that. But as we established in the log, you needed to basically just get enough distance between yourselves and the Rigelians to let them be distracted without losing that warp trail, and then you had Romanov basically trying to pull some quick repairs while you waited for the meeting with Athena. So at this point, basically once you leave the meeting, you're in a position where you could start trying to chase them down and or like try to find signs of the Orion warp trail, get a sense of where it's going.
Got it.
I have one other question. So the Tellurites have a ton of Chemosite, right?
They had a ton of Chemosite.
They had it.
And stole it from them.
It's been all stolen. What are the various applications of Chemosite? Can I make an engineering roll to kind of assess what they might be using it for? Obviously, there are some, very deadly applications of the stuff. But
what for that sort of volume, or
yes, exactly. Just to see if there's anything else on the table that we're not perceiving.
I will allow you to make a reason and engineering roll, and okay. I would call this probably difficulty 3, just because Chemosite is not a substance that is terribly familiar in Earth space, or wasn't until very recently.
Okay, so reason and engineering, And can I apply reverse engineering as a focus?
I
Probably
will.
not.
I don't think that's quite applicable here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But chemosite is essentially a high energy yielding thing. So what about electroplasma power systems, since most of the species at this time use similar kinds of energy conduit systems through their ships?
It's an interesting application, and it's close, but honestly this falls more under like sort of a chemical or a chemical engineering or geological
Got it.
type of role.
So
I would-
Patel's a geologist. Just
Oh,
if you want to
great.
assist.
You can assist me on this. Okay, so I'm going to do you want me to spend a momentum on this? Do we think this is important enough for a momentum?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to roll 3 dice.
Okay.
Can I assist with science, GM?
Absolutely.
And she has all sorts of programs and stuff she's created to look at this kind of stuff because she's very interested in alien technology.
Okay, well, just for the record there were 2 momentum at the start of this. However, since we've transitioned adventures, I did pull one of those out from your pool, and Romanov spent the other one. So
Yep.
you will regain the point of momentum. Who would like to be designated momentum officer for the session? Or for the adventure?
I'll do it again. Sure.
Okay, so I'll just give that back to you, Panda. Okay, so also noting, because we are at the start of another adventure, the GM does get to take a corresponding amount of threat to the players. So that is 6 points there. Delicious threat.
Ooh.
Anyway, so given that once you'd found out that this was involved, obviously the 2 of you, either together or separately, have probably been reviewing information on chemosite. The basics, as you understand it, is that chemosite, in its basic form, is an ore with a multiphasic isotope of a radiolytic compound. Essentially, think of it as kind of uranium, but stepped up to a considerable degree. Capable of producing higher yields of energy with enrichment. And there are variable degrees of what that enrichment can do. Starfleet is only just now starting to learn some applications, but from what little is known, at relatively lower levels, it is viable as a power source, or for certain scientific uses. However, there are higher enrichment capabilities which could be used for potentially more lethal applications. The most stark example of this that most of you would be aware of at this point is the Xindi weapon, which used chemosite as its primary power source. So, with a large enough quantity and with sufficiently high enrichment, you could build a planet buster that way. Or at least one, if it were in smaller quantities, you could build a bunch of small things like the first probe that murdered 7 million people on Earth, or you could build one very large one that would have been capable of destroying Earth and every colony in its wake.
Or the prototype, the second prototype, which cracked moons.
Yep.
Based on the amount that they have, is this weapons amount? Because it sounds like the scientific engineering applications are lower amounts, right?
Given the likely size of what was taken from the Tellarites, which you know is considerable with the type of freighter that Dega told you was taken away. But not knowing the precise enrichment levels that they're dealing with, or whether whoever has the chemosite has that capacity, I would say a great many troubling options are on the table.
How many races out there, including Tellurites, can effectively enrich this stuff? Like if Starfleet were able to get a sample of it, are they able to enrich it?
Anything further, I think, here is going to. I honestly don't know that. So I'll say this much. You would know Starfleet just hasn't worked with chemosite in large quantities.
Okay.
And I don't think that they would have necessarily enough understanding to refine it. Beyond that, I would say that this would require the spending of a momentum to obtain information. However, even that, I don't know how much would yield it to you. Would yield because there's just a lot of this would seem pretty hush hush. Or the closest. There's only one person that would even know that the Tellurites were really working on it at the table.
Okay.
All right, so we give chase.
Very well. I suspect once Joint Command has their policy sorted that, well, honestly, I think that they are willing to give you some latitude here, or as much latitude as they've given Colonel Sharpe to act on these matters. But best of luck, and provide information when you can. I'll see what more we can send you, but there really isn't that much more.
Your assistance has already been much more helpful than anything we could have done without you. So thank you.
Very well. If you require more discussion with your officers, then I will allow you to take it. But I would ask that after that meeting, Lieutenant Shira, if communications could be arranged with you to contact us, there is one other small matter to address.
Yes, sir.
So with that, Patel, would you want a little bit more time with your officers to try and plan things out, or do you feel like you know what you are doing from here?
He looks around the table again just to make sure nobody has anything they want to chime up about.
I can't think of anything at this point.
Okay. Then he stands up awkwardly and says, okay, then dismissed for now. Mr. Conley, Mr. Crichton, let's go to the bridge.
Aye, sir. And Connolly will bolt up. Crichton will follow in his wake as the two begin to get things set up. So let's see. They will go ahead and clear out of the chamber. Dr. Lambeth just says, well, if you need anything, I'm going to try and have things ready in sickbay much as we can. Try not to send too many patients my way, I guess. Or I'll keep my fingers crossed.
And that's two of us, Doctor.
All right. So those three will go ahead and disperse. For the rest of you, does anyone want to stick around or go off to other parts of the ship?
I just conducted some repairs, so I want to follow up on all those, double check them, because we're going to be in a pursuit situation.
Fair enough. Romanov is off to engineering. Saral, would you be doing anything in particular, or want to go off to do anything?
Finally enjoying some peace and quiet.
I guess on that matter, Patel, is there anything that you would ask Mr. Saral to do?
I think Patel still hasn't quite figured out Saral,
Copy
which
that.
would be a good opportunity for character development in downtime, I think.
All right. Well, you may get some of that.
To be fair, I'm not sure Soral has figured out Soral.
Patel doesn't really figure out people, so you're not the only one.
Okay, so Saral will also leave this meeting that he felt rather awkward attending. Patel, would you be wanting to stick around for this or anything else, or are you just going up to the bridge with Crichton and Connolly?
I think he would have understood that this conversation is supposed to be private, but I'll look back and forth between Shira and Athena just to make sure.
You may stay if you wish, Commander, but this was more of a formality to convey a request to Lieutenant Shira.
I think Patel, in his newbie commander-ish, would just give Shira her privacy and say something like, if there's anything I need to know, you know where to find me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, but as Patel goes off to tend to his duties, Shira, you are left alone with Athena on the screen. Intelligence has had time to review the request, and we spoke with it. We spoke with Command about it. There was a bit of deliberation on the matter, but we have opted. I can report that we will be allowed to share some limited open source information, some bits of sensor telemetry as requested. You may peruse those feeds as you wish. Just I don't know what you would be hoping to look for, but we do have readouts from patrols across Terran space and through a number of other areas. So you may pursue those at your leisure.
Thank you, sir.
Well, is there anything else I can help you with, Lieutenant, or that you would wish to convey on behalf of your government?
So yeah, I need to go speak with the intelligence officers there.
Very well. If you can find anything of use for our situation, Starfleet Intelligence will definitely appreciate it. Until then, I suppose, Lieutenant, please let us know if you wish to request anything else.
Thank you, sir. Will do.
And with that, Athena will cut the line, leaving you alone in the briefing room. So, before we leave off here, is there anything that you would want Shira to do immediately?
Probably two things. One, contact that Andorian intelligence chap about Starfleet agreeing to the request, and also getting some training in with everyone on Orion tactics, how they board ships and stuff, and countermeasures.
Understood. Let's see. So, with regard to that, I think that is all. Those are all things that we can just safely say are done off screen. So, as we cut out from the Aegis, from the conference room of the ship, now with a sense of purpose or at least a plan of action, adjusts its course and proceeds to warp in search of the pirates. I suppose if you would like, well, You have a vague sense of at least the initial direction that the Orion ship went, so we don't have to do a roll right now. But if you would like, when we come back to the Aegis, or rather, I guess before we do that, if you would like to perform a sensor roll, then we could go ahead and at least get things set up to see just how close you get it, and we'll reveal a bit more as that comes on. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. So just before that happens, I have to do one small roll here. Just see how they... Ooh. Okay. In that case, never mind. Patel, you may go ahead and conduct a reason and science roll, assisted by the ship's sensors and science. Would somebody care to get the ship, please?
Do we know what the difficulty is?
Well, let's see. I'm going back through my notes right now. I think that this would actually fall to a difficulty of 2 because of the failure in the roll that I just had.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do this.
I'll roll for the ship. What was it? Sensors and
Sensors and science.
science.
So Patel has already met the difficulty with, and actually, it's worth noting. My notes originally had it as a difficulty of 2. The ship's advanced sensors also come into play, which means it is reduced further to a difficulty of 1. So
Yay.
that is one more point of momentum back to the pool. So
Actually, I could also, with technical expertise, I can re-roll the ship's die.
Oh.
So we can get even more momentum.
By all means.
Hit the button.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Holy shit. That is an extra 2 successes on top of the 2 that Patel rolled. So that will give you back 3 points of momentum. And
momentum.
I will be a kind GM, and as we move into the next scene, I'm going to allow you to keep hold of that pool for now without taking anything away. So let us move on ahead then. The meeting that you just had and the remaining events on the ship occur on the evening of August 6, 2154. Over the next several hours, the 6th will bleed into the 7th, and you will continue your efforts. But our attention turns elsewhere, specifically to another ship out in space, an Orion Corsair known as the Spoiled Prince, where the morning is coming, and I think that we would start off with Captain Darkstar Teach, or as we know her properly, Colonel Lillian Sharpe, waking up in the room of her Orion. Waking up in a room alone, one that belonged to a former member of the Orion crew, somebody undoubtedly left behind on the Uticon station. It's not the way you were expecting to probably wake up when you first came on this ship, given how amiable everything was with Visenia to start, but
It's not. It hasn't been the first time.
yeah.
Um,
At least you're not being forced to sleep in the Jeffries tubes, or rather the crawl spaces.
or have a disruptor shot or disruptor wound or something else. Yeah.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, this is probably a 5, maybe a 4. You've had a lot
four.
worse. You've had worse.
4.5.
Yeah.
Um,
But you get up, change into your pirate gear. You're not at all Starfleet gear, as the token would suggest, and come out. We'll say that
I would have tried to find my stuff. Is my stuff here at all?
yes, everything you brought with you is still about, or
No, I'm talking about the stuff I've wasn't absconded by Starfleet. Did Visenia take it, like, keep that, or is it?
Oh, that'll probably take a little bit more searching, actually.
Okay.
So however, in sort of the main galley, there are places to look for things. So if you would like to start out the morning, you could try to hunt for the basically the little cubbies or hidden compartments that you remembered, placing a few like go bags or other things like that.
Yeah. Certainly am I doing that. I've also Sharp, or rather Teach, hasn't slept very well. She's been contemplating a lot.
Particularly the revelations of last session.
Yep, and how the hell am I gonna do any of this stuff? With what we have.
Yep.
Have I managed to find, before I went to bed, a bouncy ball or something I can bounce off the deck plating? All contemplating. Can I flavor that?
I'll allow you to flavor that here. I will ask, starting off in the morning, Drone, Felix, would you want Crimes and Deshawn to be involved in the scenes here?
I don't know. What have we been up to after taste testing our way through the buffet?
I'd imagine that it was mostly or like there's not much else on the ship right now. So once festivities were finished, or such that they were, or such that there were any, you'd probably have been shown some spare rooms, kind of messy ones, like places that former crew had been, and basically, well, Crimes, for your part, you would understand that they were giving you basically this bunk's free, so go ahead and take it. We'll figure out a permanent place for you in the morning. I'm sure Deshawn, you basically got the gist of this is bed. This is bed if you want sleep. There's a lot of hand gestures and, to you, incomprehensible words that make no sense.
And for some reason, they speak very loud and slowly.
Yes, it's an unusual fault in a number of species in this area of space. So, you've both probably had the chance to get some rack time if you wanted it. Though I guess the question would be, would any of you want to do otherwise?
I think Crimes would have like fallen immediately to sleep.
Fair enough. Deshawn, anything in particular that, or do you think you would have had a problem with that?
He probably would have tried if the door's locked. If he's caught in the cell again. But then go to sleep. I assume the door's not locked.
The door would not lock. You would have
Good.
free reign to move between places. They might have insisted that you leave the weapon in a more obvious place. At least the disruptor, but they'll let you. I guess they'll let you keep the sword if you really want it.
I guess.
All right. So,
in the early hours of the morning, or what would be equivalent of 400 hours, or 500 hours, I would get up and try to scrounge around the mess hall to make breakfast for my wife, as the typical comes with apologies.
fair enough.
While at the same time, I'm looking up various cubbies and whatnot, trying to find my stuff, if my stuff exists.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to ask you to either roll for breakfast or roll to search for your things.
And the other one just happens, or the other one doesn't happen?
The other one might happen, but to humorous effect, or not
All right.
quite work out.
I'm going to roll for breakfast because that seems more reasonable, more important at the current moment.
Fair enough. I'm going to ask for, let's call this control and science seems appropriate.
That
I would
ain't bad.
alternatively let you take medicine if you wished.
Let's do science. Diplomacy. Come on, you're married, Zach. You know this is exactly what that is.
I don't often have to cook. Please forgive me, breakfasts.
The apology usually comes after the cooking.
Anyway,
So does diplomacy work?
no, and now I'm spending a point of threat to increase your complication rate.
Wow. Harsh. Okay. So now, all right, I'll spend a focus.
Or momentum, rather.
Momentum, yeah. To get extra die.
Also,
Yeah.
thank you for the space squid threats. The space squid defense there, Caligo. Always appreciated. Okay, 3 successes. You managed to avoid a complication, and I will give you back that point of momentum you spent. Or actually, I don't think you dropped it off the pool, so nothing needs to change.
No. Yep.
Yeah. While you don't manage to find your gear, you do at least manage to locate some of the pots and pans that have been moved around to different places, and you have enough of an approximation of what Visenia likes to keep in the galley that you are able to throw something together. I have to imagine that there's like some sort of how to put this, kind of like the dump dish, the equivalent of an omelet or a fried rice, something that just whips together the leftovers into like a very basic sort of stock meal that can be made quite tasty. And there are enough of those sort of odds and ends that you pull together that you whip together an older meal, something that was kind of a comfort for you in Visenia back in the past.
Yeah.
And you do so in large enough quantities that you could feed a good number of other crewmen, as is tradition, because you know that other people are going to come in and join this meal whether you want some degree of privacy or not. So a few Orions are going to mill about here.
The moment they hear food sizzling, people come running.
Yep.
And start poking. And
Yep.
usually people get glares or they get violence. But if you give them the leftover food, they'll usually be content.
Yep. So a couple of them will be about. So Drone, Felix, if you want your characters involved here, then they can also be in on the scene. The ship appears to be so designed that the environmental system filters through the smell of food from the mess hall into your quarters, and it smells pretty good.
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Okay, so yeah, you find you're not the first ones there, as much to your surprise, Chief Justice, the Colonel is throwing together an interesting looking alien dish, and people are starting to grab bowls full of it.
Huh. Okay. he walks up to the. I don't know. I imagine it's like a little buffet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Walks up and grabs a bowl, and a little fork and knife and a napkin.
Yep.
Sees Deshawn again. More bonding over food today.
Grab whatever you're going to get, because that's all you're going to get. I'm not making seconds.
It smells good. What is it?
It's a little this, a little that. Mix of fried rice and an omelet. I don't know the names of it. I'm sure the captain or any other crewmates can point out what they are, but I put two and two together after a few months, and this seems to work well enough.
For a bit of flavoring, I'll say that it is maybe closer to a fried rice analog, complete with some sort of like some sort of grain, a few types of vegetables finely chopped in there, and because this is Star Trek, there's some sort of bluish protein in the or present in the dish, space squid, what have you.
By the way, did Crimes, did you try to eat this raising the glowing purple banana?
Oh yeah, the fried pickle.
Yeah, you know this is supposed to use a season, right? Like only a little bit. And if that's more than that, it's a little harmful for your stomachs.
Oh well, good old Chief Crimes has a stomach lined with iron, and he pats his belly.
Well,
Yeah, the groaning happens right when that when I hit the belly.
she just you get a smirking wicked grin. I can see that. Get food before it's gone. She's gesturing with her face towards the pile that she's mounted for people.
Don't have to tell me twice. And he grabs the, like, I imagine like a big bowl of stuff, and I grab the big spoon and like spoon it on my plate. And I look over to Deshawn. Chow time. And I put a big spoonful of stuff on his plate too.
Yeah, I accept.
Okay. So as people start lounging about different places, there's obviously never enough tables around here to properly sit and eat there, so a bunch of people lean against walls, find other smaller chairs, sit on like cargo containers, all manner of stuff. The ship has always been kept somewhat disorderly, or there's always been that expectation. Even with the reduced crew, it is not something that accommodates all of them. Of course, there is always the couch, but that is generally left for the captain to prop her feet up as she walks through the door. I haven't had a decent version of this in a little while.
I thought I'd make this place feel more like home. Want some?
Yeah, that'd be great. Don't suppose you already fixed me
She
a
has
bowl?
she's saved the cleanest, biggest bowl that she could find, and just shovels it in there with the nicest fork or utensil that she could find, and sets it down or sets it over to the captain.
She'll take it, turn, and start walking back towards the couch. Care to join me?
Of course. She'll turn things off to make sure that she doesn't set things on fire. She's done that before. And sits down.
Sorry. Yeah. Say that Visenia just kind of leans on the back of the couch, and invites you to a similar position here. Everyone else will kind of take their seats here. There may be some small interactions that all of you can have if you so wish it, with obviously the most difficult among them being whatever Deshawn wants to do here. But I thought I would give you all the opportunity to say things if you so wish. Would any of you want to do or say anything in particular, or I guess basically anything before the Visenia or your next round with Visenia here, Captain?
Yeah. Crimes, you ever figured out what's going on with the translator and our new beat stick?
He talks with a mouthful of food. Sorry, hold on a second. He swallows. No, not yet. It seems like the best way to communicate with this big old lump over here is with some good old fashioned food. Not really getting very far when it comes to using this to convey any messages to him, but he seems to enjoy eating.
As most people do. I hope it's to his taste. Looking over to Deshaun.
I think, real quick, out of character, I think we had established that the translator is picking up the words, but they're just not making sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're more than welcome to try. It seems like the translator gets the words, but it doesn't quite get the meaning.
Looks over to Deshaun. Can you understand what I'm saying?
Can I roll to get a vague meaning?
I'll let
Is that
you.
a thing?
I'll give you. Call this insight and insight and command probably makes the most sense, and we'll call this a difficulty of 4, with 4 being like the maximum sort of gist of it, but you'll still get some variable idea. Of course, if you don't firmly understand it, then there are still appropriate responses you have, so I guess just have that at the ready. You know, there's definitely a response good for that.
What was it?
Yeah, you're just as you find it.
You wanted to be a Temerian, you motherfucker. You got
he just looks at you. Yeah, I have to look up what I want to say. Okay, this is outsourcing my brain.
Yeah.
He just looks at you. It's like swallows, and just I guess they have like the same mannerisms mostly. So he kinda shakes his head slightly and just says, "Kadir beneath Momote."
It's one of these again. All right. I guess with a work on some sort of symbology or calligraphy, whatever. He's entertaining, at the very least, looking over to her wife.
Yeah, he's an odd one. I guess so long as he doesn't start swinging at us, he could actually be useful, some extra muscle.
As long as we can figure out how to teach him we can point and tell him to attack, I guess.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
So, did you keep any of my stuff? I'm feeling a little naked. She gestures to her, her face and her hair glows.
I had it in my room. Our room. It's been...
Is it our room? She says.
She'll look down at her food for a moment. Look, I'm sorry about last night. It's just... It's been a lot, and I honestly... I didn't know if I was going to see you again, and honestly, things have worked out so much better than I expected. That to have you back, it's some of the highest highs, but just I honestly where we are right now, being able to we have each other, we have a ship, we have a way out of all of this for good. I didn't want to take that away, right? It was a good moment, and I know it's been a little while, and I know you haven't seen me in as long, or like you've had to put up with a lot, but we're not quite on the same wavelength just yet.
I understand. I come out here and it just seems like everything has the seas have gone to shit. She gestures and in a broad generality. I agree with you that things have gone worse, chaotic, and certainly something's going on out there. And it stressed me out, and I am sorry to take it on you.
It's fine. And we've been through a lot those past few years, and we've been through more in these past couple in particular apart. I can't imagine what you had to go through, getting thrown on whatever hole they've got back on Terra that they wound up sticking you in.
You know what the terrible thing is? It wasn't bad. It was just boring. Nothing. You're put on an island and more or less given very basic things that, as long as you didn't try to stick out too far, they'll leave you alone. They feed you nicely. They don't really do much of anything. It's the problem I have with Earth. Everything is so sedate, and there's no ambition. There's all this attempt at trying some sort of peace instead of, excitement and ambition.
It's just a bigger cage.
She nods.
Well, never have to see it again. I'm honestly a little surprised you even thought about talking back to them about this whole thing, and say, I'd hate to give them a sense of where you're going and what direction you'd went, and well, she actually walks over to a table and pulls out a tablet that was kind of buried under some just some junk someone else had. You were saying about wealth we might get off them if we tried to play the double game, or, well, in this case, triple game, she says under her breath. I think that all your time on that cage might have disconnected you from what you actually had to deal with. Or rather, it might have given you the wrong impression about the situation.
Now I'm starting to feel like home. She smiles. You telling me, I gotta hold back. You don't simply understand the scope of things. All right,
Well,
sure. She smiles, gets up.
The Terrans have been putting a lot of resources into expanding their naval and ground forces. They've been tightening up patrols, increasing security measures on some of their colonies, both nearby and outside, especially after that mess went down with the Tellarites and the Vulcans and everyone. Things have only managed to get worse somehow. And I'll tell you, Seoul is especially tight right now. She hands you the pad, and you actually see there's a mismatch of bits of data. Remarkably, a lot of it seems to, as you go through the pad, it's kind of a lot of secondhand accounts, some bits of intercepted news clippings basically, and others, even some sensor telemetry that might have been gotten through illicit means.
Oh my god. Question here.
Yep.
GM. has my rumor that we've been arming moons of colonies now a thing on here too?
They're
Secret moon bases.
you know, just for the fun of it, I'm going to say there might be one smattering of a rumor that the Terrans are putting nukes on the moon, on all their moons.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to piece this together, trying to figure out how I was going to find you and get you off that blasted rock, and it couldn't have. Honestly, you getting taken prisoner couldn't have come at a worse time after that. After whoever attacked them that last time, um, referring, of course, to the Zindi incident.
Yeah, which she corrected. Which she corrects the Zindi. That's certainly something I've kept hearing all 14 months.
But the Terrans are putting everything into defense. As I understand it, things are actually a bit bleaker than usual out on those frontier worlds. If it weren't for their defensive measures right now, then the Syndicate might actually have a more decent chance of busting in. They're taking a lot out of providing all those little creature comforts that the Terrans on Earth have, and putting it all into looks like they're going to be a little baby Vulcan or Andoria or something of the sort, because they actually seem to want a serious military now. So much for the high-minded ideals of a peaceful atmosphere. Like I said,
I'm both
all...
happy and miserable that they're ending up something like this. At least they're getting some soul into them, as opposed to being drained out of them by the Vulcans. She says, setting the tablet down. At the same time, militarization. She shakes her head. I'm not sure I agree with that.
It just makes it that much more important that we get away before those Earth forces are actually on their feet, before anything else goes wrong, because we don't want to be here when everything starts going down, and it will.
Visenia, I don't care the direction my home is going, but it's still home. And certainly, I don't want to get back in this argument, but we should do something. At least clean up our own mess.
She looks like she's about to think and say something when a chime comes out over the like a loudspeaker. Boss, trouble. We need you on the bridge. On my way.
She almost speaks and then just oh right, your ship.
There'll be time to come back to time for everyone to come back to their leftovers later, and everybody get up to where you need to be. She looks to Deshawn and just says, she'll put her both hands up and just kind of wave them slightly towards you as everyone else is getting up. It's like, you can sit down, eat, like gesturing at the hand from bowl to mouth. You are okay.
You know that doesn't help at all, right? You can just talk normally, probably as effective. She says, with a tease and grin.
Just she'll give you like a bit of side eye glancing over her shoulder. Just get to the damn weapons.
Yeah.
Cinder, his eyes red.
Yeah. Deshawn, you're just left with the puzzling situation as everybody else leaves the room and leaves you and their food unattended as they go off, do their own things. Crimes in the shuffle I think Visenia might gesture to you and say, hey, if you think you can still help fly the ship, then... Or do what you were doing yesterday, I'll take it.
He gives her the finger guns. You got it, chief. Or boss.
I'll do fine. Alright. So, you arrive on the bridge, and people start manning their stations. A handful are unmanned, but one of the Orion says, "We just picked them up on sensors. It seems that they're coming at us relatively high warp. At this rate, interception should come in about 20 minutes. Oh, God damn it! How did they manage to track us? Issue with our attempts to scatter the warp field. Our warp trail seems to have failed, or they picked it up on some frequency. Still trying to figure it out. Our engines are fouled up from last time still.
Seconds are burning. Who exactly is intercepting us?
The Orion sets the screen to a rear view, and behind the ship, you see closing the distance very steadily a white, something glowing slightly white in the background. Visenia just says, "Magnify," and against the dark of space, they're the unmistakable whites and grays and the glowing red caps of the warp nacelles of the starship Aegis.
Huh. Looks like we improved those old codgers' engines. That's nice of them.
Well, we have to find a way to deal with these Terrans. Don't suppose you can squeeze out anything more of the warp engines? We're still pretty badly capped right now.
How fast does your lovely new ship go, my dear?
After the little heist we were trying to pull, well, in order to keep pace with that, in order to keep the freighter at a pace we could manage and hide our warp trail, we were down to about 3.7, 3.6.
She just gives like a slow nod of like, oh, pretty damn slow. All right.
Doesn't help that most of my engineers are still back on the station, and the handful that are here, well, they expected a little more time to get things fixed.
Grimes, how's your talents with making broken things work?
He sort of dissembles a little bit. No, I can give it a shot.
Give it a shot and not blow us up, or give it a shot and maybe blow us up?
He just smiles in response.
Yes.
He just and he gives like the Fonz a.
Great, stay here.
Visenia will look over to you. I think that we might need to talk a little bit about this next stage, because we might be able to fix our way out of this, but I might need some other plans here.
I can think of a few. Grimes, what is out there? Give us some options.
Can I do like a sensor scan or anything?
Yep, I'll ask for a reason and con roll.
Also, does this count as an activation for him since it's a new episode?
You are right. It does actually count as an activation for him. Likewise, Deshawn has also, I would say, he also counts as being activated.
Yes.
I don't
Ultimate
know
power.
What's already been used on him, because I think some of the things you can only do once, right?
Yeah, so let me take a quick look at him. I'm pretty sure this last time we might have.
So last time I boosted a security by 1.
Okay, so that is like the one thing we can do for disciplines for now. He only has the 1 talent. I think that uh, I think we might have also we might have given him an attribute already because the scores look like they've already been amended slightly. Technically, he could still be given a focus, which actually he should have started with a couple focuses. The ones we had appear to be gone. So I'll tell you what, if you want to just in general give him like I think 2 or 3 focuses to start with.
3. Starts with
3.
3.
Yeah, so if you want to add a few focuses, and then you may add a 4th if you wish. Also, you can give, instead of a 4th focus, you could give him a value or a talent.
Okay, I'll go ahead and fill out the focuses, and I'll keep the 4th option open for now, and I'll take a look at it later. But I'll go ahead and give him one of the focuses now, like long range sensors, or I guess short range sensors probably makes more sense for a shuttle pilot, right?
I mean, general sort of sensor operations would work.
Okie dokie. So what was the roll? Reason and con?
Yes. And you will get an assist from the ship as well, but that assist isn't going to count for shit because you have not succeeded at the task at all. The one thing you could do, if you want to give him a value, you could use that to access a point of determination and allow a reroll here.
Okay.
It would mean coming up with a value.
Yeah, I'm going to give him the most obvious one, and it's staying cool under pressure is easy.
Yep.
Would that apply here?
Yep, that works. So you can use that to re-roll your dice pool. I guess if you like, I can roll the assist first and see if the ship helps you. Nope, so I can re-roll that too with the determination. Okay.
Oof.
With that's only 1 success there, so not too good here for you, Crimes. You're a bit hampered by the unfamiliar ship design, essentially. They're trying to work out exactly what it means. It looks as though on your current course, the nearest systems are still probably days away at warp. The one familiar one would be the Terra Nova system, which is, of course, the colony that Chief Justice had his first adventure on. There is a system, I believe, the Beta Canem system by the star charts. It's an unvisited area that's only been marked by star charts before. That would also mean going slightly backwards relative to your current course.
There's not a whole lot of options that see us going forwards here. I can take us backward to an uncharted system, or we can head to a Terran colony.
Neither of those are particularly good. As far as I know, that Terran colony is defended, and, well, that other system, no, definitely not.
All right. Guess we can have a little talk while they're being chased. It's only proper, given the fact they're approaching.
Well, let's get ready to set that up then.
Yeah, I'll go get myself my face done up. She says, "Bear back."
Okay.
Go in the powder room.
Yeah. Actually, I think while this is happening, I think that this would be a good time for a commercial break, partly to also give everybody the chance for a bio break here. I do kind of need to take one. So let's take, we come back with a exterior shot of space as the stars streak by with the ships at warp. First zooming by is the sleek winged craft that is recognizably an Orion Corsair vessel. Small, avian, deadly, and maneuverable out in space. Behind it, the pursuing vessel, the more clearly recognizable general shape of the Deadliest class vessel. Its spherical primary hull, cylindrical aft engineering section, and behind to either side of it coming out 2 warp nacelles. Both ships are moving at as fast a speed as they can manage thereabouts. The Aegis pushing its engines a bit faster or a bit harder to catch up. And it is thankfully not such that the deck plates are rattling. You've managed to avoid that from the last time, Patel. But nonetheless, there is a bit of anxiety on the bridge as we join you on the ship here. And we specifically cut to the bridge. Your normal bridge staff are mostly in place, although in addition to officers such as Mr. Creighton, Lieutenant Shira, and Ensign Connolly manning their usual stations. Upon catching up with the Orion vessel, there was the invitation extended to Saral, who is competent enough at sensors and might have a few ideas on how to deal with this. For her part, Romanov could either be in engineering, where if it comes to it, tasks would be easier, like for any sort of proper engineering type tasks. Alternatively, if you would like, Brian, we can put her on the bridge at the damage control console, just at the corner near Crichton.
No, she's gonna remain in engineering just in case things go in an odd direction.
All right.
It gives me versatility to respond.
Yep. So Connolly looks to his console. Closing to 400,000 kilometers now, sir. We should be able to get into their. We should be able to get in a transporter range here in just another few minutes.
Saral, what's it look like? Do they have any sort of shields up, or are their weapons out? Or I guess that would probably be more of a Eula thing. Somebody.
Whomever would like may attempt a reason and discipline of their choosing, or that would be relevant to their station. So Saral, that would be science. Shira, that would be security.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Reason and security. Shipboard tactical systems as a focus.
Yep.
What's the difficulty?
Difficulty in this case, I think that they would be trying to throw out some sort of electronic countermeasures, but the ship is, or try to interfere with in some way, but I would also say that the advanced sensor suites are working to your advantage here. So we'll just call this difficulty of 1. The ship is also assisting with sensors and security.
I've only rolled 1 dice. That's
Yep.
anyway,
Go.
There you go. 3.
3 successes from Shira, so that's pretty good. Would somebody care to roll sensors and security for the ship, please?
I got it.
Nice.
All right. So that is a total of 4 successes, with the ship adding 1 additional success. That will not only exceed that, but it will top out your momentum. I think since we had a scene change there, 1 would have gone down, but I'm just going to give you back 2 to reflect where it would have been. So let's add that real quick. Shira, this vessel does indeed seem to have energy shields, which it is raising, and particle weapons, which it is also powering. These are pretty simple weapons relative to... they're roughly comparable to your phase cannons, so they would be sort of versatile, essentially. They seem to have cannons that are mounted fore and aft, and a banked weapon that is forward mounted, so they presently can't shoot it at you. If they could, then you might be in trouble because that would give them a bit more range.
They have raised shields and are charging particle weapons. Those weapons seem to be roughly on par with our phase cannons.
Polarize the whole plating, and then he looks over to Crichton. What was the name of the alert? Condition red alert.
Action stations.
Action stations, and he'll press a button on his console and set up an intercom. Action stations, all hands set to condition red.
I feel like Crichton enjoys that.
I do kind of like it, but I am also very curious as to how... I mean, the captain says red alert all the time. I know that it's condition red, but I don't understand.
You're in good company, Mr. Crichton. And
Polarizing hull plating and charging phase cannons.
Can we... Okay.
Mr. Patel, I'm actually receiving I believe the ship is hailing us.
Put it on.
Right. Screen opens, and Patel, you get your first glimpse of this rebellious Orion woman who is lounging in her command chair. She's wearing, from what you can see, a vest that very clearly bears her midriff, and long hair, which is running one hand through, just sort of lazily running it through, twisting it up a little bit, brushing it aside. She is looking directly in the screen, such that it should be making eye contact with you, but with the general sense that she can just barely bother to give you the attention. With that, she cocks her head from one side to the other. Oh, hello there, Earth ship, and Earth captain, is it? Have you got a name?
He clears his throat and stands up and sort of smooths out the wrinkles of his shirt, sort of nervously. This is Captain Kiran Patel of the Earth starship Aegis.
Oh, well, how very good for you. A little bit further out than your usual neck of the woods, I see. That's the Earth expression, isn't it? What?
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
Captain, you called us.
yes, I'm wondering why you are following us so closely, and what interest you might have in little old me here.
Just for me, what do we see? Is the screen like really tight on her, or do I see their entire bridge?
It's relatively tight. You probably see some walls in the background. It could be enough to where if somebody dramatically walks into frame in a moment, then you could see them standing there. But for now, Visenia is just sitting on her own.
That would never happen, though, I'm sure.
Of course
never
not.
happened.
You see, Captain, we are looking for a ship, specifically one that has been carrying some cargo that's very interesting to Earth.
Well, Captain Patel, was it?
That's me.
You may not have guessed this, but I'm not that much in the freight hauling business.
But you may be able to help us. And we noticed your presence at a while back at the station, the Freeport, he says. What was the name of it? Uticon? And you to look at me. I'm not the most criminally minded person in the world. I'm your straight-laced, stereotypical brave Starfleet captain.
Yes, yes,
I was
I'm
thinking
sure.
we could maybe collaborate a little bit.
Mm. Well, I can assure you there, Captain Patel, my experience with that port, well, so far as any of the concerns you have about interesting cargo, my experience was completely incidental to that. I didn't get a chance to talk to any freighter captains. I didn't really plan on doing that, and I have to say I really don't have any information. I was just there for a good time that got interrupted, more so by the Rigelians than you. Um, but yes, just afraid I don't have any. I don't know anything specific to what you're looking for. I mean, there were other freighters there. Did you bother to check them or check with the Rigelians rather?
The Rigelians didn't look very interested in talking.
Hmm.
But you don't even know what it is we're looking for. So maybe if I could explain things a little bit to you, it might jog your memory a little.
Oh, you could certainly try. I'll tell you what. I could tell you a little bit of what I might have seen recently if you say reduce your speed just a little bit. I don't like that you're getting quite so close.
Patel taps a mute key on the side of the captain's chair.
Okay.
Mr. Conley, what's the range?
Range now closing to 300,000 kilometers. We should be at transporter range in just about a couple minutes.
What about
keep the pressure on, sir?
What about particle cannons? What's the range looking like there, Shiro?
I assume we're nowhere close to opening
You have to be
fire.
like 100. You have to be 100,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to know. Okay.
From what I remember of my Star Trek, it's somewhere around 100,000.
Yep.
150, 100,000.
Not there yet.
Okay.
Ready to go when we are.
Connolly turns to you and says, if we do want to try and catch up with them, we could push our speed just a little bit more, and I could narrow that to be right on top of them in no time at all, sir. Put us in optimal range.
Keep that option in your back pocket, Conley. Let's try to drag this out as much as we can.
I'm listening to the bridge play-by-play. I'm
Yep.
ready to assist with the engines if necessary.
Yep.
And then I unmute the thing. So, sorry, Captain. My crew and I we just had to talk about this. Is an old ship, you see, and it's not so easy for us to just go from 60 back to 0. You know what I mean? It's going to take a second for our engines to kick down. In the meantime,
they're lying, says a gravelly, feminine voice.
Patel's ears do that little thing where they you see them perk up in a negative way, and he gulps. He recognizes that voice.
Yep.
It's certainly distorted a little bit. A lot more ethereal. Yeah, well, I guess a bit pointed phrase would be. She took up a voice changer. But yeah, definitely familiar.
Seems you have something you wanted to share with the bunch of us. I was kind of waiting to let them fess up to what they were actually here for.
We already know what they're fessing up to. They're just playing for time, hoping that perhaps they can give us the death they want us to have, as opposed to us giving us to them. But I'm very familiar with the end. As they step into view, and if this is as goth punk as one could get. It is a very long, stripped up leather jacket with metal and sharp points to it. There is no shirt underneath it. Instead, it is a body paint of a skeleton ribbing that is red instead of white, and the face paint is a black with a red skeleton over her face with black eyes with golden irises contacts in. Her hair is tipped or is dyed black with with tips of gold of her usual hair. There's from the collar is wisps of some sort of smoke, as if she is literally from hell.
Patel tries to maintain composure and Captain, and he struggles to remember the name that was mentioned in the meeting.
Darkstar.
Yes.
Call me Darkstar.
The dread pirate Darkstar.
You don't. You can go ahead and laugh if you like. It's already amusing to see people who don't understand where they are now. I'm amused myself. Just adds a toothy grin. So, Captain, you seem pretty fresh. Starfleet, you don't seem like a Mako. You're nowhere near the sharp edges. You're pretty doughy. Myself, I think. New? Shortest stick of allotted to you?
He just turns side to side and like shows off the gray in his hair. Says, "Do I look young to you?"
Young and sort of being out here in the wilderness. A lot of terrible things out here. Pretty brave. But let's cut to the chase. You want to get closer. You want to board. And, of course, arrest us or whatever. I, unfortunately for my dear partner here, have loaded the warp drive to overload within 100,000 kilometers. That's about a good range, don't you think? What do you think would happen with a warp drive overloading while in warp? Where do you think all the energy goes? Do you think your lovely cadre of a Deadliest class would survive it?
Patel looks over to Sural. Can we confirm that?
I've already started overloading the shit. Overpowering it.
Yeah, but like, do we sense that as
GM,
well?
I'm letting GM know that I've already set it overload, or it started to heat up a bit too uncomfortably warm.
Saral might be able to detect higher than usual power emissions. I could give you that for free.
I mean, sure.
I find it hard to believe that you would destroy your ship over just little old us. You don't seem frightened of me. I'm not the most intimidating person around.
I'm not frightened of death. I've already been there once or twice out here in the frontier. You seem like you never even been scratched before. It's a bit rough ride out here and requires a lot to offer and a lot to ask of people to survive here. So, how committed are you? I'm pretty committed. And I think, if anything, going out in a nice little pretty light would be kind of nice. I mean, it's a lot more than we can offer, right? Ask for. Looks over to the rest of the pirate crew.
Do the energy emission, or what can I read from them? Zach?
Let's see. So, in essence, you are I think that what you would pick up from that is uh, the reactor, like the main reactor is putting. There's a buildup of power centered there. It doesn't seem to be transferring elsewhere, so that would suggest that there's like a steady increase in sort of the antimatter reaction that without any place to truly direct that energy, you would know that eventually that would be enough to create like to blow out the engines if it were severe enough, or if somebody were to drop containment fields to a certain level. I mean, in a sense, that was kind of what your tactic with the it might even have been inspired by what you wound up doing with the Republic so many months ago, trying to get them there a bit faster.
I mean, is that something that would just burn them out, or that it would result in like damage in an area?
I mean, if they were to drop reactor containment and while their engines are being overloaded like that, the ship would definitely go. At that range, there's a possibility you could get pretty badly irradiated, or just get caught in like a bit of the blast. It wouldn't be like, I don't know that it would be the full explosion at that range that you'd be caught in, but it'd be pretty risky.
Although we'd be flying through the gas cloud at warp, so that's probably not a good thing.
No, you.
That's what deflectors are for. I would kind of let Patel know that the reactor energy is increasing. Like, I don't know if I can send him like a text on his console or something.
Probably just say it.
Because
I mean, I asked you for confirmation, like audibly for them. So.
Yeah, then I would say the energy in the reactor is increasing. So.
Look, you'll excuse my partner here. She's spent a little too long on one of those private islands that you give to people you don't like back on your world, Mr. Patel. So let's just make this nice and simple. We are presently at a bit of an impasse. Your little old ship would probably wouldn't do too well approaching us. And, well, we're not too keen to have you that close. I think even if we weren't going, even if our reactors weren't at risk here, then, well, we might still be able to do a fair bit to that little old ship of yours.
This hasn't been the first time we fought a Deadliest before.
Yeah.
And I doubt the last.
So, let's just cut to the chase. I take it you're most interested in this one, gesturing to Teach.
There are several warrants out for her arrest in Terran space.
Well, there are other interested parties that would have a compelling interest in seeing her places, but the most important of those is me. And I have an interest in seeing her stay right where she is. Is that fair?
That is something that I can live with, I think. But there's the other interest that we had in mind. So I'm willing to forget that we discussed the good Dark Star here, provided we talk about our other offer of collaboration. We're after a load of chemosite, and we think that you know something about it.
And what would we get out of it exactly? You know, I always enjoyed Edison more. He was more morose than anything else. This person seems more uptight a little bit.
Now, dear, don't go insulting the nice man who's about to give us a perfectly reasonable offer that we can take and both be happy with. Isn't that right, Captain Patel?
No.
You are the ones who are overloading your own warp core.
And
We can keep
Your lives are in jeopardy far more than ours.
we
We're
can
willing to give it up. How about
we
you?
can keep puffing up our chests at each other as much as we want, but at the end of the day, one of us is blowing up and the other one might not.
And the other one's gonna regret it.
Well, then tell me, if we knew something about a freighter carrying chemosite that you were so interested in, what would you give us?
Oh wait. I hope that your communications keeping all this a nice bill for us to get a receipt for. And she'll just tap her foot, and I'm gonna start making Morse code. As we're with my hand to do the dots, and for my foot that taps to be the brakes.
Patel very visibly, like, he knows something's weird, but he doesn't know what you're doing. But I assume
Why are you being so weird? God damn it, Patel!
Darkstar, do you need a doctor? Do you have a tick?
She just can't help but laugh and just shakes her head.
What would Soral need to roll to, like, I don't think he would know Morse code. That feels like a super stretch.
No, but
she feel like up there is
poking
like
Crichton. She's poking Crichton. Bill, like, freaking get on this.
I'll tell you what here, Soral, since you are sort of the quickest to jump into this, and like your logical gears are working here. I am going to say, so to communicate this successfully is going to be actually a base difficulty of 5. However, what's going to happen here is that, Captain, I'm going to give you a roll I'm going to allow you to roll here. What we're going to do, Soral, you are going to get the primary roll on this, and Captain, you are going to assist. What your assist will do, Captain, in addition to helping Soral, it's also going to cut into the difficulty. So say that you score like 1 success here. Or actually, no. I'm going to let you have a standard roll here, so you'd roll 2d20s. So however many successes you get are going to make it easier on Soral to understand. And then, Soral, you are going to have a normal roll of your own. For the Captain, I think that this is going to be daring and command.
Okay.
I'd like to chime in real quick if I'm getting a feed from Bridge. I work with a ton of, she's worked with a ton of spacers and boomers. I'd like to make the argument that they might very well use people are stuck in a place. Old ships, the only thing you might be able to pound on doors to give statuses out.
So you would want to assist Soral's role?
Yes.
Okay.
And send a message to the captain's chair. There's a little readout there. She may be using an old Earth code used by spacers.
Yeah.
I mean, I would also be happy for Soral to just notice there's a pattern and then just put that into the computer.
Okay. Well, I think that anything below the maximum success threshold you will still at least detect the pattern, but maybe you don't readily identify it. But the maximum would be to help you work things out. So let's do this kind of in sequence. Captain, go ahead, give me your daring and command roll here. Soral,
I'm going to spend...
Good?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Soral, this is going to be an insight and science roll here.
I'm going to spend 1 momentum for extra die. I'm going to also use a determination. Kirk made famous for it. I laid the groundwork. Because if this isn't space cowboyism, I don't know what is. This is a lot of just really stretching the lines of shit.
Well, if you play it by the book, hours could seem like days.
Yeah.
We've got pirates already. We don't need cowboys too.
Ah, yes,
Oh,
the famous Earth game that Shira knows about, cowboys and pirates.
All we're missing now is ninjas.
don't
God,
say that.
if only we had a holodeck.
Okay.
Monkey's paw curls.
None of my shit applies. Okay, so let's go. Whew. And I get to re-roll that 1.
Okay.
Cool. So that's 5.
Nice.
So that she's making this as she's cutting into the difficulty pretty significantly. I'm going to say it only reduces to a minimum of 1. But yeah, Saral, you having a good read on the captain could easily, I think, denote a pattern here. So just go ahead and give me a roll, insight and science, if you please.
So difficulty is 1.
Yes.
It's almost
I-
disappointing because I was thinking, okay, what can I throw at throw?
Yeah. When I wrote this up,
Um,
I made it too broken.
Can I argue for investigation or linguistics as a focus?
I think either would apply.
Excellent. And you know what? Just to make sure I don't botch this, I'm gonna buy a die with bold science. So you get a threat for that. Since you made it
Yay.
easy, that is my gift to you.
The GM accepts your pity threat.
Ba, 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 ba. Oh, and I rerolled a complication.
Yep, that is 3 successes on the board for Saral. Oh my god!
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yeah, but spend 2.
So you want to spend the 2 momentum that we would gain to get rid of it, or do
Yeah.
you want to have the
Yeah.
complication?
No,
Okay, fair enough. Let me just buy it off.
Okay. So
2 natural 20s in a row. Oh my god.
It's beautiful.
That's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So Saral, I think that just because it's as easy as it was, if it's okay with you, Romanov, we'll bypass the assist roll for now. That you're full on momentum. But yes, Saral, you immediately notice the unusual sequence, which others might mistake for a tick, but you pretty quickly discern an organization, a pattern to it.
I think as well that Soral would return the captain's most obvious signaling in the most obvious way he can think of. He gives her the most Vulcan eyebrow rise she has ever seen him do.
Saral might still be off camera. He hasn't dramatically revealed himself to the.
It's just the eyebrow rises into frame.
Yep. I mean, Patel would probably see that if he's paying attention.
So, Saral, are you all right? Are you?
It's actually quite painful. If you started translating, like, just one moment, Captain.
Let's see. I believe Sharpe is going to put that in the Roll20 chat.
I'm putting that in Roll20 chat.
Okay, which means you in the stream should also be able to see the message that's being left behind.
And I would either give this to Patel like on a data pad or ask for like to mute the audio for a second because obviously.
No. Up until the moments that happens, man, I'm actually trying to remember where we were with the bluff here, or the gambit.
No one knows.
No one does know.
We're winging it.
Okay, yeah, Saral, you put that you put together the code. You maybe double check the code once, but yeah, you have you have a firm sense of what the captain is telling you, though you may scarcely be able to believe it. So yeah, Visenia, as Saral is putting this together, is just going to say, Come now, Captain Patel, we don't have all day. What say that I give you some information and perhaps you just ignore us and we go on our way?
How is Soral getting me this? Like, or did that already happen?
Again, if I have it like either on a datapad, but I don't know how datapads are by this time exactly, or like
We literally have
data
data
pads are
pads
for
now.
Yep, you
yeah,
could
but the old Star Trek is weird.
you
Yeah.
you could easily like upload this to a data pad and hand it over to him unless you want to mute the channel and just announce it by audio.
No, I would just write it down as soon as I have like the translation from the computer and
Yeah.
hand him like the datapad. It's actually a fair point that we have datapads now, but again, Star Trek is weird sometimes with the
It is,
technology.
yes.
Yep.
Never too sure.
There-
Yeah, but like definitely in a way that's not obvious that we got sent a message by the captain undercover. That's the essence of what I want to do.
Okay. So, yes, you could pass over a data pad to him then. Patel, tell me, do you, seeing the news there, do you think that'd be that would come as something of a shock there?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Control command roll, please.
He turns around and shoots Shira.
Difficulty, I think that I'm going to call this a difficulty of 3, not to give something away.
Okay, I'm going to use some momentum because we have a bunch.
Is there a way to assist in that roll?
Are you not unless you are attempting to mind meld with him, which would be its own
I mean,
source of panic?
Can I? I'm since I'm handing it to him, I kind of assume I like walked into frame.
Okay,
I don't know. Just by being there and being distracting, like what's a Vulcan doing on this fucking ship?
I mean, there is precedent for a Vulcan being on an Earth ship now.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that. I think. Maybe. It's fine if it doesn't work. That's the only thing I could think of. It's a weird role to assist.
Can I assist? Because I know that information is going to be big. Can I assist by distracting my wife?
Yes, you may distract your pirate wife. Command and presence, I think, would be appropriate.
Cool. Gambling.
It's the most used focus of all.
I don't think that it quite applies.
All right. Command and presence. Cool. I'm gonna spend a focus. Can I? When you assist, can you spend a focus to get it done?
You may not.
Okay.
Yep. So,
That's the one.
Patel, your role is still to come.
Yeah, I'm still going to use. I was actually going to use 3 momentum because we're going to get some back.
Yep. I'm going to drop a point of threat to increase your complication range by 1.
Oh, this is fun because I was thinking about using Walking Encyclopedia, which would do that again to give me a focus for the remainder of the session, but we also only have like 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
So not going to do that. So the 3 momentum get me 4 dice total, right?
That it would.
Okay, focuses. I have literally nothing on this, so here we go.
Don't you have a value?
I do. I could use determination. That's a good point. Put me in the field, coach. That work?
I think that would probably work okay.
Or Starfleet is a culture shock.
Oh yeah, that definitely.
Something is a shock.
Yep.
Okay, so that's 2 successes, right, on tapping that? Or, wait, how does that work?
If you would like to use it for the automatic critical success, you may elect to do so. Alternatively, if you want to hold it in reserve and wait to re-roll your dice pool, then you may pick that.
YOLO.
I think that... Well, shit.
Ooh, shit.
Leroy Jenkins it a little bit.
One.
Yeah, I guess you could take that as the... Well, I'll just presume you took the auto crit here. For a total of, with your 4 successes, the captain's 1 success, and the automatic critical success, That is 7 on the board, which will top off your momentum. Patel manages the best like stone poker face, maybe just generally exhausted with all of the other pressures, that when this comes by, it's like it's the sort of thing that you read and it's like, oh, and then either sometime after the line goes off, just you scream or
Oh,
Yeah.
that's that. I have something planned for that. Yeah.
good.
I
Okay.
Something planned for that.
Yep.
I distract my wife by just stepping around behind the captain's chair and just like sort of wrapping my arm around her.
Well, not in front of the cops.
I thought you usually enjoyed it when I was around the comps. She says,
Yeah, well, I want to be respectful of the nice Starfleet captain who is right on the verge of giving us a reasonable deal. So,
Yeah. He snaps back up and sort of interrupts you when you're going on that. It says, "Look, you're out of time. Your engines are overloading. Here's my offer." And he's got the no bullshit. I'm just exhausted at this point. Look, we have a reasonable lead on where we can find our chemosite. We would like to not do it alone. You have a criminal that is wanted by Earth. Rather than blow yourselves up or risk combat with us, you can help us. And in exchange, I can't remove the warrants against your partner, lover, friend, wife, whatever. But we can forget that we saw you today. And we can go along our merry way afterwards. He breathes very loudly through his nose to like try to center himself again.
okay. Well, Patel, now you've got another role here. This one is going to be presence and command to try and persuade Visenia here.
And I already used the determination.
Yep.
God damn it.
You may assist if you wish here, Panda.
I'm going to. I will whisper lovingly into my wife's ear. I am sure the smoke, despite it looking quite menacing, is quite a lovely fragrance, actually, if you get close enough. All right, I'll say, can I ask for Ashley to be reverse? Can I have it so where Patel assists me? Because I've already pitched this idea to her the night before. And I could try to pitch it again.
If Patel would like to make this, if Patel would like to assist here, then I suppose that would be, you could run it that way as well.
Yeah, I'll
quick-
just go ahead.
Quick thought. So Patel shot his shot, right? And and maybe this is a little bit meta, but I would see that probably as a role for me. And then depending on how that goes, if it's poor, then Panda could do like a full roll on her side to convince Visenia.
Okay, that seems reasonable. Yeah.
I mean, it's up to the GM. I don't want to backseat that, but that seems like it would be a little bit make more sense in the scene.
I would say that the sequence makes relative sense. So yeah.
So I will assist first, and I'll say.
Well, I think he's saying more like a sequential.
Oh, just a bunch straight shot. Yeah, straight shot. Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm gonna use one momentum too.
Okay.
Ooh.
Jesus.
What in the world?
This makes total sense though. So I mean, I love it.
That
it's
is
great.
1 success and 2 complications. 2 natural 20s.
We can burn the momentum and then take a threat, I guess.
That's yeah. I guess that makes the most sense. Then we're out of momentum, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would like to pitch something that's very meta and Zach might just laugh off. But a reasonable complication would be that she tells us some bullshit to get us out of the way. But she doesn't know that we know what she's supposed to tell us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We know it's the Andorians, but she might like it's complication. He's bluffing. I just tell him, oh, it was the Tellarites, and I'll be on my merry way.
I kind of like this idea, but if you want to make one of those a narrative complication, I have an idea of how to deal with that. Um, but the question goes to you here, Patel. For this role, do you wanted to buy off one of those complications with momentum? Did you also want to buy off the other with threat, or would you prefer a narrative complication?
Oh man, I always like narrative complications though. Yeah, it's not just my decision, so
Go ahead and make it a
Okay.
narrative. If you feel it's a
Yep.
narrative, go for a narrative. I'll
do
work
it. I think that this makes sense for Patel. Like, do it narratively.
So she succeeds, and Visenia rolls on this, and she succeeds in things. Patel, Captain, you said you already knew where the freighter is. Why do you need me to help when you already know the location?
Um, because two.
You're also near enough a Terran colony that you could call on reinforcements.
Two ships are better than one, Visenia, Captain.
I didn't introduce myself by name to you.
Oh wait, if she didn't, then I didn't say it.
Oh, I totally like that as a complication, though, because you definitely know.
Okay.
She's going to pull a disruptor on Chief Justice. Would you care to step in a frame, dear? I think I have somebody else that you're a bit more interested in, and who, if you value their life, you will reduce your speed and power down your weapons. And actually, she says, "Wait, why am I being kind? You there, move him into frame." And one of the Orions is just going to shove Mr. Willie D. Justice.
The moment the Orion starts charging in, I will kick him aside, grab Justice, and just slam him in front of the thing, in front of the view screen.
Bit less necessary there, but so long as you're out of the way so that I've got my clear shot. Anyway, I think that I've spotted it's so much a pity that one can't seem to hire good help. I guess I just didn't trust the right one. Or rather, I mistrusted the wrong... I missed one.
It really is. It's really frustrating, the fact that how much I had to go through in order to get away from there, and yet still follows me around. Great.
Oh.
I apologize, my dear.
So, tell me, Mr. Patel, would it matter to you if this man were vaporized right about now?
He's sweating bullets, man. Like he's past the point where he's already tilted.
Yeah, she'll look over to her wife and she'll just give a grin. We'll let you think it over, and just clip it on mute or whatever, where like they don't cut the feed, they just
like they pause it and it's like the line is still technically there ready to reconnect, but maybe it cuts back to the visual of the ship being chased.
Yeah. She will look over to her wife and say, "We have all the chips. Certainly they value human life more than anything else, especially if they're one of their own." She kind of like pushes her heel a little bit into Justice.
I knew
But
Dylan Crime sounded a little bit off kilter.
we can consider that later. At the moment, we still need to clean up our own mess, and certainly with with a new chip in our favor, we certainly get a little more than just leaving. Get supplies, get Latin. They don't give a shit about Latin, but whatever. We can get whatever we want, and if things go bad, we can use them as scapegoats while we get the hell away from the Dorian cruiser. But they can take the most of the flack for it.
Right, so
this is a good deal.
We leave him behind on a spaceport. We get out, and we give them...
We help them because we need to take care of the Andorian cruiser anyway.
Oh my...
Visenia.
Sharpe... Eddie, I don't understand your obsession with helping these people.
Because you and I had a code, and I understand how tough it's been. I do. I can see that. I can see that all around us. But I'm here. And don't you think that it's going to be a terrible amount of days afterwards knowing what we could have done? Just this. Just stealing back cargo that was ours in the first place. We can even break it down and sell it for a lot more all along the trail out of here.
She clutches her disruptor a bit harder. I don't want to get involved with these people any more than we already have.
You involved us anyways. This is just trying to fix it, and it's in our favor, gesturing to the crew member, driven to crimes.
You want to gamble everything we've got left on what? Some fool's errand?
I'm gambling everything for what is left of our souls. Damned as it is, I don't want it any deeper than it was before I got caught.
All right. I'm going to ask you for one more roll here.
Yep, and I got my friggin' determination back, motherfucker. So I am excited.
As we are completely unaware of this entire conversation, and I'm at the sensor controls, is there a way to get a transporter sensor lock on Chief Crimes?
With their shields up, it would be... I don't think transport would be possible. If you... I will say that as far as the engine buildup goes... not knowing it, well, since you have a sense that Sharpe might be bluffing to an extent, or obviously she's working towards a friendly end. Either way, there is conceivably time for you to pull basically the quick intercept option and get off a shot to try and knock down their shields and maybe get someone out.
Well, that's a command decision. That's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
I feel like the second you guys muted your connection on our side, I would have just been like, I need options, please. So, like, ideas like that could come into the conversation.
Well, their shield is up, so transport us out.
Kick us close as possible. We hit them with the phase cannons. They're not going to start shooting people on board. They'll want to shoot us back.
And once the shooting starts, it doesn't stop, is the problem, Shira.
It'll stop when their weapon systems are down and their engines are offline.
What's the range?
We're just shy of 100,000 kilometers now, sir. That would put us in extreme weapons range. If I kick it up to 4.3 here, then I could put us in nearly half that range within 20 seconds. If Mr. Sorrell's readouts are correct, they couldn't pump up their reactors that fast, so we might be able to get a shot here.
Tap the key for engineering. Engineering, can we get a burst to 4.3?
Yes. I've been ready to do something like that.
All right. So I'm using my value because I maintained it, as you can see. Of living through one life, I realize what I've missed because I have been in tense situations before and done a lot of guilty things,
Yep.
and I don't want this to happen to somebody I care about. So automatic crit, presence command, diplomacy, or gambling, because either of these things or inspiration.
Yep.
Choose a third.
Yep. All of that works. You will be rolling
and-
against Visenia's insight and security with a focus and conviction to apply here, and her own value for an automatic crit. I've earned my freedom many times over. Don't test me. I'm also spending a point of threat to buy her an additional die, so this
God
is...
damn it. All right. This is going to be intense.
All right. So let's go ahead and do the roll-off here.
2. But a complication against her.
Ooh, spicy.
Then guilt. Come on, guilt.
Come on, guilt.
It's
Guilt,
4 to 4.
guilt,
It's
guilt,
4 to 4.
guilt.
Yep.
But the complications against her. So
I think I know how this works here. So with with her disruptor pulled on Chief Justice, she looks from him and to you, and you can tell you are putting everything you have into trying to get her to avoid making this crucial mistake. The tension in the atmosphere is palpable as you see, for whatever is ruminating inside of her on this, her will is just so bent on not wanting to be caught up in this any further that she is genuinely struggling with the decision. And that tension, that same tension, the anxiety that has brought Chief Justice to possibly or is undoubtedly unnerving him, is also unnerving the other Orions who are looking around uncertain. And tell me, Patel, would this be the moment you give your order?
Did we see this on the, like? Are you just muted, or do we not? Are you completely
no,
gone?
screen's off. Screen's off because I am.
Yeah,
We have to show a brave face, and now it's trying to maintain the brave face.
Yep.
So it's been too long. Yeah, I think Patel, in his cracking under pressure, just says, "Do it."
All right. And with that order, Connolly guns the engines, and the Aegis begins to close in quickly. And it is with that sudden leap forward into frame, in that moment before all chaos breaks loose, that we end today's session.
God damn it.
All right, so...
God damn it, Patel.
What a time to roll double complication.
Oh, no, it was brilliantly played falling apart.
Yeah, the dice knew it. It couldn't have been, so they...
No, I mean literally the playing falling apart.
Oh, yeah, you
immaculate.
Yeah, you were great playing that.
You were great at falling apart.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is where we're going to leave off for those of you in the recording. If you ever want to catch us live, we air these episodes, or we stream these sessions live, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. GMT, over on twitch.tv/GM in the Great Barrier. As always, link is in the description. Thank you for those of you that are catching us here. Be sure to follow the channel and drop by Twitch. Follow if you're interested. Subscribe if you're really interested. It always helps the channel. But yeah, this is where we are going to leave you off for now. So have a good day, and we'll see you next week.